Welcome to another episode of Locating the Legends. On this channel, we're all about locating the destinations where mythology, folklore, and weird and wonderful experiences are rumored to have happened, and possibly are still happening. To be kept up to date on new releases of episodes, hit the subscribe button, or visit our channel to check out our previous videos. This week, we'll be looking at the haunted train tracks of San Antonio, where the spectres are children, determined to stop others from befalling the same fate as them. Depending on the account, this legend began during the 1930s or 1940s. One retelling of the story explains that a bus carrying children home from school crossed the intersection at Villamain and Shane. As the bus was crossing the railroad tracks, the bus stalled and the engine cut out. While trying to restart the engine, the driver noticed a train barreling towards them. He then frantically began trying to get the children to safety, but it was too late. The train crashed into them, killing 10 of the students as well as the bus driver. In a more detailed account, the story begins in much the same way. Late one night, on a particularly dark and gloomy evening, a nun was driving a busload of children home from a field trip. They were heading down Shane Road, when the bus abruptly cut out as they were crossing the railroad tracks. As the children slept in the seats behind her, the nun was quietly trying to revive the engine so that they could continue on their way. Seemingly, out of nowhere, a train emerged. The burnt-out headlights of the train gave no indication of its impending arrival. The nun desperately fiddled with the keys in a last attempt to get the bus to roar to life. It was too late. The train smashed through the bus, cutting it in half and tragically killing all of the children instantly. The nun was thrown from the windshield and miraculously survived. Consumed by her own guilt and despair, the nun returned to the site a few weeks later, parked her car on the tracks, and waited for the train to take her. A faint light appeared on the horizon. The tracks began to rumble and shake, and there it was, the train, a beacon it seemed, to end her misery. She closed her eyes tight and waited for the impact. Suddenly, small, familiar voices began to dance in the air all around her. Slowly, her car began to edge forward and then rolled up and over the tracks to safety. She jumped out of her car, expecting to find a good Samaritan, but there was no one in sight. She glanced around nervously, and there, on the back of her car, were small sets of handprints. The ghosts of her students had saved her. Over the years, the legend has grown, with people from all over the country traveling to see this phenomena. Many sprinkle baby powder over their car to see the prints more clearly. There are thousands of accounts of people experiencing this phenomena. Many locals claim to have heard the rumbling sounds of a train, a steam whistle howling and cutting through the still of the night, the screeching wheels of a train grinding to a halt. But there is nothing there. Nothing but the eerie chill of the night. Ghost City tours claim that a popular story locals will tell you occurred not long after the horrific crash. It involves a woman who was driving down Shane Road late one night. As she approached the railroad crossing, she saw a little girl standing all alone on the side of the road. Immediately, she stopped, pulled over, and offered the girl a ride home. Once they arrived at the girl's house, the child was hesitant to leave the vehicle. The woman assumed that the girl must have run away from home after a fight with her parents, so she told the girl that she would speak to her mother. When the woman got out of the car, she looked back to give the girl a reassuring smile, but she had vanished. The woman quickly reopened her car door. No one was there. However, the seatbelt was still fastened. Despite the countless reports of cars appearing to move on their own, mysterious childlike prints showing up on vehicles, and even reports of children's voices and laughter having been heard at the site, there are no records that an accident has ever occurred there. Some believe that this legend was inspired by another fatal accident that happened far away in Salt Lake City, Utah, in 1938. The city was dealing with blizzard conditions, and a school bus carrying over 20 students was attempting to bring the kids home safe when the bus stalled out on the railroad tracks. Just as this happened, a 50-car freight train came hurtling their way. The aftermath was grisly, with every soul on the bus left dead. Others argue that it is an optical illusion, and that there is a slight slope at the intersection by the tracks, and hence the cars roll forward due to gravity. However, the thousands of accounts of handprints, voices, and even paranormal sightings at the location are unexplainable. What do you think? If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you have any of your own stories to share from your own hometown, please leave that in the comments below. Hope to see you next week on Locating the Legends.
Who's asleep?